Tuesday, July 13, 2021, and this is the Housing Committee meeting. Just give me 1 second, please. Just let me. So we're just gonna go ahead and today I'm joined by Councilor at Large Pavel Payano, Councilor at Large Selena Reyes, and myself, the chair of the Housing Committee. We're going to proceed with the legal portion of the meeting. Pursuant chapter 20 of Act of 2021, this meeting is of the Housing Committee is being conducted via remote participation. Non-in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access to the adequately access the proceeding as provide on this order. A reminder that person who would like to listen or to view this meeting while in progress might do so of any of the following location: Lawrence City Council Facebook page and Lawrence City Council YouTube page channel. With that said, we're going to proceed with the agenda. We have a minute to be approved from March 22nd, 2021. If the councilors are ready to approve this minute, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right.
Second.
Motion has been made, properly second, to approve minutes from March 22nd, 2021. And I will call the roll call. Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
And myself vote in the affirmative. So a motion carries. We have, if you allow me 1 second, councilors. So we have a few items. Can you guys see my screen?
We can.
All right. Do you guys prefer to see the speaker or the agenda?
I think for now the agenda is fine, but once if we get to the speaking portion, it'd be best to change it to speaker view.
No problem. So today we have a few items tabled, a few items that were part of the previous agenda, but we were not able to discuss. And there is a couple other items that probably we have some information that we request on previous meeting. So with that said, councilors, I would like to ask for a motion to take out of table matters item 10721, which is the first one on the agenda.
Mr. Chair, for my last understanding is with this item is that we sent a motion to receive information from Lawrence Public Schools. Has that been sent to us through at our email? Because I don't see it as part of the package.
That haven't been sent to us. I'm assuming that either Angie Bell or Pedro that both are here today has some information on that property. So once we start the discussions on that, if we get to that point, we can definitely listen to what they have to say.
Oh, so the discussion of taking out of tabled matters is purely a to have a conversation on this item. It's not necessarily to try to take it out of to send us to the full committee, because I'm not ready to vote on any document that I have not had an opportunity to look at.
No problem. I mean, Councilor, I understand. I have received no information whatsoever on this item either. So I definitely understand your point. I share your point, your concerns about not having information in front of us. But those are two items that perhaps we have an update that they would like to share.
So Councilor,
And then we proceed as the councilor wants.
Councilor Rodriguez, I agree with Councilor Payano because we need to have more information what we request last time.
That's why they're here.
Councilor Rodriguez, if I may.
No, not yet, Councilor Pedro Soto. We need to first take it out of the table matters if it is in regard to this item.
Councilor Rodriguez, so it sounds like you would like to bring this up to the committee for discussion because you're asking for this. Make a motion to take item 107.
10729.
10721 out of table matters.
Yes, that was one of the items that the administration or Angie Bell sent an email on, and out of courtesy of that email that was sent, we have no new item today. But I want to catch up on few items that we were not able to on the last meeting because we were short on time because we have the budget hearing. So now that we're here, if we allow them to speak, to see what they have, new information that they have in front of us, that probably it's going to help for us to either make a determination today or whenever we feel comfortable as of when we're going to move forward with this item. So I have the same information as everybody else. And I move forward with whatever the council desire. So if it is no motion on that item, we can move forward with the other items that we have on the table matter that we haven't been able to entertain yet.
So Councilor Rodriguez, I repeat, so it sounds like you'd like to take up this item. I already made a motion to take it out of table matters.
No, to be honest with you, it's not. I have no interest. I just want to hear what they have to say. If you guys want to, yes, we can entertain a discussion.
Councilor Payano made a motion, I second it.
All right, I call the roll call. Councilor Payano,
Yes.
Councilor Selena,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So now, now that we have this item in front of us, we'll be able to discuss it. So Pedro, you would like to add something on this?
Thank you so much, Councilor Rodriguez. I do thank the committee for your patience as we get this information that was requested in our last meeting. I do have that information for you. I'll forward that to you. Essentially, we, in the planning department, we send a letter to all the department heads, basically inquiring whether or not they are within the next year, if they would like to entertain the idea of advancing a particular property for whatever plan they may have within their the department. We did reach out to the school department, and it was returned back to the planning department with they did want to use the property to.
So Pedro, before you continue, so you're talking only and exclusively about this particular property, not every property on the city of Lawrence to every department for the next year, right?
For 100 Summer Street in particular,
okay.
we do this for properties like this that they're able to be rehabbed. We did send this out to the school department. They did come back and said, yes, we would like to use this property for these purposes. I did discuss the response with Mayor Vasquez, and he expressed that he was not in favor of that particular petition from the school department. I think the school department just was doing their due diligence and saying, hey, you asked a question, we're responding with yes, we would like to entertain the possibility of using this for, I believe it was adult education. I believe the proposal to actually renovate that property to the standards that they would need is about $58 million. And the mayor expressed that, we're not in a position to take on a project that size within the next year. And that's really what the form asks, like, can you make use of this property in the next year? So clearly they're not in a position to do that. So I did just want to communicate that the mayor's office, wants to express that they're not in support of moving forward in that way, and they'd like to continue with the RFP process and bring it out to a public bid. So
let me ask you, Pedro, before you continue. So can you share with this committee the letter that you sent to the school department?
Yes, I can do that. Again, thank you for your patience in me getting that to you. But yeah, I could.
And another thing that I have a few other questions before,
Sure.
Based on what you're saying. When we declare property as a surplus, we have a legal requirement. And part of that requirement is to send a form to every department to express interest for any particular property, but not necessarily for a particular time period. So the question that should be asked, do you have any interest on this property, period? So if they present interest on that specific property, as per city council's rules, at least for this body, that is something that the housing committee and the full council take into consideration, because of the fact that we have a department, the fact that the property is not clear to declare as a surplus. And I just want to make sure that we cover those bases. Obviously, we are asking to see the letter because none of us has it, but also we want to make sure that the due process is accurate. And based on the question that it was asked, as for, do you have any need for the next year, within the next year for the property? I think that that's not correct. But a question should be, probably could be asked to the city attorney to see if that's something that it is the right process. I just want to make sure that we cover those up before you continue.
Sure.
So, Councilor Payano, do you want to add on that specifically, or do you want him to?
Yeah, no, just a follow up to what you just said, Mr. Chairman. So on that, I think that, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When we make a decision on declaring a surplus, we make it because we believe that there is not 1 year, but thinking in like the next several years, there isn't necessarily an interest or there could be potential plans to, on a city project. So I think if that, that brings to question any future projects that we have a surplus, that's probably going to be one of our questions. Like, when these departments are signing this document, are they signing it for 1 year? Are they signing it for several years? So I think I would advise Mr. Soto that in particular, in future cases, that it'd be important to change that document so it doesn't say 1 year, so there is no confusion between the department heads, and it's just as the chairman said, whether there's an interest or not. And if there's an interest, then the council can ask for more details and more information. Just because there's an interest doesn't mean that the council would vote in favor or not, but it's a piece of information that I think it's vital for the council and the public as a whole to understand. And in this, so I don't want to deliberate a lot on this, Mr. Chairman, just because we don't have the documents information in front of us. And I think that if we were to have those documents, then the one of the things that I would do if I had to receive something like that is speak to the Lawrence Public Schools just to get a better understanding of what they were thinking. So I'll leave it there. And I think if there isn't any more information, I think it'd be great to move on to other items.
Thank you for your feedback.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to table this item.
There is a motion on the floor, properly second, no discussion on the table. I mean, there is a motion on the floor. If I hear a second, and then we entertain the motion.
A second.
There is a motion on the table, properly second. I call the roll call. Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Councilor, I vote affirmative. So motion is tabled. Motion passes. The item has been tabled. So now we have another item on the agenda that the administration have some interest of presenting to us today. And the next one was what's going to be the 821 surplus declaration, which is, I think, I don't know if I'm right on this item, or there is a typo or something on this item, but I don't believe 821 has been declared as a surplus as of today yet, but we have it in front of us as a 821 surplus declaration for Doyle Street. Are you ready for this item or not yet?
Doyle Street is going to be tabled.
All right, so we have a table. We don't need to table it. So what is the next item that you have interest for today's meeting?
7 Walnut Street.
All right, we have item 5021, which is the second on the agenda. Can I hear a motion to take item 5021 out of the table matters?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
There is a motion on the table, properly second. I call the roll call. Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Reyes.
Yes.
And I vote affirmative.
Mr. Chairman,
Pass.
I'm looking, in looking for this item, I don't believe that I've seen the document that is attached with this. I'd like to ask Andy Baylor, Mr. Soto, if they ended up sending us in the last few days.
I did send it over. I can send it right now again if you need it.
Yeah, yes, please, if you can.
Okay, I'll forward it now.
Thank you, Angie Bell.
No problem.
Yeah, I have Doyle Street and Summer Street, but I didn't see the email for Walnut.
Connie, did you need it as well?
Just send it to everybody, the whole committee.
Okay.
Full committee.
I just sent it.
All right. All right, this item, I'll read a few things on this item. This is a vacant lot located on 7 Walnut Street. The lot area for this particular property is 3,847 square feet. The deed reference in the book and the page is 7704, page 74, and this is located on a residential 3. The status of this lot is vacant, and that says the assess value based on our the assess department, it's about $9,000. Currently, there is no the lot by itself is not a buildable lot, since there is a need of more land to be able to be buildable. On unless that the abutters have enough parcel to complete what is required by law. At this point, this property has been analyzed to be declared as a surplus. And just like we do in others, do we send any particular notice to the departments to make sure that they have no needs for this particular property?
Yes, this was all set, so no one responded yes. And the abutter is interested in building a 2-family home. At the moment, we're looking to declare it surplus just to decide if we're gonna be RFPing it or direct dispositioning it to the abutter.
Okay. So we have the abutter that it's presenting interest to buy this property. And do you know what is the property abutting? I mean, obviously it's 2 street. I'm assuming that the abutter behind the property is the one that is presenting interest.
Yes, correct. The one right to the left of it. And the letter is from the abutter is the last page of the attachment that I sent over.
Yeah. At this point, we're not entertaining that the abutter's interest, but we know that someone that might be able to add the land that is needed to develop the property, it's available to buy. So, councilors, there is any discussion on this particular property?
One second. So my first discussion is, this is Walnut Street. Okay, I think I know where it is. And we're saying that space there's enough space there to create to make a house?
No. By itself, it is not buildable.
Okay.
But the abutter behind it have enough land to complete the square footage required by law to be able to build.
And this
So,
is
and this is not. I'm assuming that if they looking forward to build based on the square footage requirement, they are not looking to buy it as part of the yard sale program, because the yard sale program is not gonna allow them to build a house, because I mean that's not the intention of the yard sale program. That's my assumption. But as of right now, the land by itself, the piece of land by itself is not buildable because it's only have 3,800 square footage.
Yeah, so I mean, but that's the thing. So I think the person in the email that we got today, hold on one second. Oh, it doesn't say where he lives.
He owns the two.
Oh, he owns 11 or he owns 9?
No,
Okay.
the lot is 9. He owns 11. That's well. I don't. Let me see the location. The lot is 9, but no 7.
No, the lot is 7.
The lot is 7.
Portion of his house is 9 Walnut, and then he owns 11 as well.
Okay. So he owns 2 lots around.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to look at it, and it does not look like he has the space. I mean, I guess he would be essentially, if they would do something, the house would be sort of like back. I don't know.
Well, if you look at where the truck is, that portion by itself with 3,847. If we add 1,200 more, which is right behind it on that basically a small section behind it, that's gonna make it legal enough, 5,000 square feet to be able to build on that lot. Just by adding the 1,200 more that is needed. So if you see the black car,
The black car there. No, I don't see a black car.
you see the 3 trucks?
So I think we're looking, we're using different, I'm using Street View. Maybe you're on something
Oh,
else.
yeah. No, I'm looking at the package they sent.
Okay, not the package they sent. Okay. Yep, so I'm seeing it. So you're saying that if they use which piece, the parking?
Just before you actually, I'm not measuring it, but just before, if you're looking to add 1,200 square foot, that's not a lot of land. But if you just look at the little portion that is not paved between the black car and the yellow line, that area will add enough space to make it buildable,
Hmm.
because it's not much that is needed. But the city of Lawrence only allow two family house to be built on at least 5,000 square feet. So whoever buy this lot and doesn't have enough, the city won't be able to, the person won't be able to build at all, because it's doesn't comply with the offset as of the new construction code requires. But with 5,000 square feet, it will definitely make it. Obviously you need to go to zoning to be able to ask for a special permit, but that's usually a common, typical situation that happen all the time in the city.
So what we're hearing from the planning department is that this land is better used to create another 2-family in that area rather than for some other purpose like a community garden or another place, sort of another green space. So what I'll say about this particular district is it's very tight. It's very sort of condensed. There's tons of, I think pretty much that street is essentially like 3 families. You might see some 2 families here and there, but it's 3 to 4. So is it the planning department's it's essentially the folks from the planning department, you guys are saying that it's there was some thought put into making this into some other space other than housing, or not? Because it sounds like you would like us to put this as a surplus for a particular reason, and it sounds like that particular reason is to essentially to have this person bid for it.
So I can step in. So this was discussed. I discussed it with Dan as well, and we just came to the conclusion it was best, since he does own 11 and the lot next to it, which is 9, he could make it into a 2-family home, which was appropriate based on the law. So we thought it was the best plan.
And when you guys discussed,
Just a point of information: is the person live on there? On there?
Yes.
So he's an abutter that live on the property, owns 2 lots, enough to make that house
A 2-family.
into 2 that particular lot that I'm pretty sure if it is a city owns, it's a mess. Because we don't have a program to maintain those type of lots. And if the other 2 lots allow them to kind of like have some parking, and I yield the floor to Councilor Payano.
so that's a good question, Councilor Rodriguez. So Angie Bell or Mr. Soto, with this, I mean, it's kind of weird the way we're discussing it. I'll say, because we're not necessarily just discussing about whether to move this into a surplus. We're having this conversation. That's the actual vote, but we're also within this package there's a letter from a constituent. So it's a little different, I think, than what we're used to, which is essentially putting it as a surplus and then seeing what bids are out there.
Yeah, and just a point of info there. This particular property is like, if that person doesn't buy it, it won't be developed because it's
Yeah,
not.
no, and I understand that, Mr. Chairman, but I think it makes for a very different discussion, whereas if that's not attached to it, it is easier, I think, having, conversations around certain pieces of property without the individuals that have an interest believing that the discussion is primarily about them not having ownership, right? Like we could, I think like this discussion that we have over these pieces of property are very big picture. I think when in the second go around, when we're having a vote on who's actually getting it, that's more on the granular, like what is the actual use going to be for? If we were to put this out for bid, potentially a nonprofit can come in and say they want to do a community garden, or like they can come in with another bid. And what I'm hearing from the planning department is that if a nonprofit did come in for a bid, that essentially that we're already predisposed to give it to the owner. Maybe that is sort of like the best case scenario. But I'll say that when just like moving forward in future surpluses, if there are other people that have interest, we should sort of like consider whether or not that should be included within the surplus application when we haven't yet taken it for a bid. And it might make it seem for others that are interested that we've already made a decision that like we're putting it as a surplus for these individuals. So it's just something for us to take into account. But Angibel, Ms. Moreta, there was a conversation around, Mr. Chairman had a question around parking.
Yes, regarding the specific buyer, if he were to build his home.
Yes.
So he would stated that a portion of that 9 Walnut Street where the black car is located, he would use for parking. So he would kind of split 9 Walnut into parking, and then the rest to help to build the home. But like I stated in the beginning, this letter was included initially because it was just one of the potential interest. But at this point, we do just want to declare surplus so we can decide who we can bid it to as well. We wanted to declare surplus just to take that first step.
But it sounds like the decision was sort of already made, because it sounds like you guys thought about green space, but you thought that this was a better use was to kind of give it to that owner. And I think
just a point of info there, Councilor Payano, just to be fair to the process. When a border of a property that is owned by the city come to the city, and they present interest and they fill up an application of a particular property, like we have done it with small spaces, perhaps spaces that are going to be used for green space, or space that are going to be used for parking, because it's a small lot. This is no difference. The only difference is on this particular property, that he have enough land that instead of just doing parking or doing a green space or a garden, he would add the extra land that he has to be able to build. But it is no different.
I understand that, Mr. Chairman.
The process that we have done when we do the yard sale for people for small lots. So this is a small lot by itself. If we ended up selling it to another person, there's not going to be much that they can do other than a non-for-profit probably doing something, but that interest haven't been presented.
Right, but Mr. Chairman, so usually the interest is presented afterwards, right? So you put it
No,
up for a
necessarily.
surplus. You
No,
put it up for,
necessarily.
you put it up for a surplus, and then there are bids. At least, so perhaps in the last 4 years, what I've seen, maybe you've seen different, right? So in the last 4 years was what's come to this committee is items, plans once they're up for bids. But that's regardless of the point. This looks whether it's green space or this individual uses it for housing. I think either of those would be good projects in that area. You know, I'd be interested in kind of like learning sort of the parking situation, and I haven't walked this. Like I've walked this area, but I can't necessarily like sort of connect, you know, as far as like space, what the person's plan is to merge the both. But yeah, so I'll leave my comments there.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Sure, Pedro Soto, Mr. Soto.
Thank you. So one of the things in question here is there's a few things kind of on the table. This particular property would be either like a yard sale, what we've commonly seen. If you know, there's a small sliver of land adjacent to a property owner, where it just makes sense, right? If you have a 100 square foot sliver there, to just adjoin it to the neighboring parcel. In this case, it's a little bit bigger than just a parking spot that you're adding to your property. We're calling this kind of a direct disposition. So in essence, it is a yard sale where nobody else, it's not a buildable lot on its own. So you're right, Councilor Payano. I think the discussion really should be, hey, are we ready to declare the surplus and then have more discussions later? As you know, we'd love to see a proposal, right? If it's a garden, or if somebody else has an interesting idea that's not, you know, having to do with a buildable lot, we'd love to see it. Obviously, when these proposals come to the planning department and we're kind of discussing some of these projects, we look at what's the most favorable use for the particular neighborhood, right? So we have lively discussions about that. But I think for this, I don't think our intent was really to discuss. We don't have a plan in front of us, right? Never was a plan, and nobody actually really spoke to us. But we know, hypothetically, when this lot, or if this lot is adjoined to the existing lot, someone could propose, a development scheme, and we would entertain it at that point. But I think you're correct in saying that perhaps we should just focus on the surplus, and then when proposals do come to us, we can discuss those and weigh the merit of each one. But I guess to answer your question, yes, we could see a proposal from that particular property owner if the parcels are joined. They would have the square footage to do so. But I take your point. Well put there.
And thank you, Mr. Soto. At the beginning of the conversation, that was exactly what I said. I don't want to even see the letter, because we declare it as a surplus. It is not fair for the process to actually discuss a possibility of an interest. But what I'm saying, on this type of lot that are yard sale, that are non-buildable, we seen this happening before many times. Any yard sale sells is start because of a homeowner or a border actually presenting interest. But we don't have that discussion at this level right now. We should be discussing only the surplus declaration, and the legal portion of it should be whether or not if the city have present, or any department from the city of Lawrence have present interest, and if it's not, and the city would like to move forward to declare as a surplus, and then the city council have an opportunity and a possibility and a vote essentially to whether or not declare that property as a surplus.
Mr. Chairman.
Sure, Mr. Piano.
So I agree with you 100%, but I think that it is valid to have a discussion if there seems to be a predisposition to go in a certain way, which is what it seems, right? It's valid to have that discussion. As I said before, whether it's a two-family home or it's a garden or it's something else, it's better than the city doing absolutely nothing with it. So I'll make a motion to send this with full council with favorable recommendation.
Second,
There is a motion on the table, properly second, to declare this property as a surplus. I call the question. Councilor Payano,
Yes.
Councilor Reyes,
yes.
and I vote yes. So motion carries. Councilors or member of the administration, there is any other item that would like to discuss? That way we can proceed.
That is all on my end.
Councilors, there is any motion to take any item out of the table matters?
Motion to adjourn?
There's a motion
Second,
to adjourn. Properly second, I call the question. Councilor Payano,
Yes.
Councilor Reyes,
yes.
and I vote yes. Thank you so much, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Soto.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Good night.
The recording has stopped.